How long of a shadow do you cast? I can show you how to make it shorter. We've had a little bit of a discussion by email and on the site in the comments section about how long should you make cast shadows. So I'm going to show you a little method here and also explain how that works. Now, the length of a shadow depends upon where the sunlight is or any light source, but let's talk about outside, because we're going to have one single light source outside. Inside we might have 2 or 3. So if you just learn this principle, you should be able to handle it in any way. So you have the subject and then the sun. Well, the sun might be directly ahead, it might be to the right, to the left, it might be behind you, it might be in front of you, or it might be behind the subject or in front of the subject. And so that's the first key right there, is where is the sun located. So I'm going to do just a little bit of a cartoon here and show you a little principle of how to determine how long that cast shadow is going to be, the cast shadow that's cast by the sun. So let's just start. I'll start about right here, and I'm just going to throw in a little representation here that could end up being sort of a tree of a sort. And we'll give it a little bit of a trunk there. Now, if the sun, well, let's take the easy part first. Let's say, okay, if the sun is located over here somewhere, let's use an orange to indicate the sun. So if the sun is located over here somewhere, then here's the way we do that. We can align, the light rays are going to come in this direction right here. So what they're going to do is they're going to come right back here and go like that on this side of the tree, and they're going to do something like this on this side of the tree. So that tells us then the cast shadow would be this long right here. The cast shadow is going to end at that point where the edge of the tree will be in direct alignment with the sunlight. So the cast shadow would be in right here, would end about right here, do something like that, and probably about right in there. Now, how wide that cast shadow is, wide meaning width in this direction, will depend upon where you are. If you're above and looking down, say if it's a tiny little plant that's causing cast shadow, the cast shadow is going to be a lot wider. If you're lying down on the ground and looking straight at it, you'll hardly see it at all. If you're sitting on the ground, it'll be very narrow. So you can observe those things simply for looking at where the sunlight is, how those light rays align with the edge of the tree. They'll always be in an angle, or of anything, whatever's causing the cast shadow, and that distance between where those light rays would end, the distance between them here will be the length of the cast shadow. Now, what if the sunlight is behind? Well, let's get rid of some of this stuff and look at how that would work. Let's get rid of that right there. So we'll get rid of this because we don't need that anymore. Now, so if the sun is behind, if the sun is, say, lower down, well, let's look at what happens. If the sun, any place where the sun is lower down, if the sun is lower down like this, it's beginning to set, then what you're going to notice is, if it goes this way, this will happen. And then the cast shadow is always connected to the subject that's casting the shadow. So that tells you where to put it right here. So that cast shadow then is going to be doing something like this, and it's going to sort of do something like that, depending upon where you are. But you're going to see that cast shadow directly or more or less equal on both sides. Now let's get rid of that and let's look at what happens when the sun is low on the side. you can see this for yourself. You just on a sunlit day, you can go outside and can measure these things for yourself. So let's put the sun in one more position. Let's say the sun is really setting. It's way over here someplace. Let's get it about right in here. So the sun is really setting right here. And look at what happens. Now when the sun is really setting, alright, so we're going to go right through there, way over here. We're going to go right through there, way over there, and way over there. And you may have seen this happen yourself if you're out walking as the sun's setting, if the sun's shining directly on you. You'll see how long that shadow will cast, and it will. When the sun is really, really low, you'll have a real long shadow. So the higher up the sun is, the shorter the shadow. The lower the sun, the longer the shadow. In your position determines the width of the shadow. So the higher up you are looking down, the wider the shadow. The lower you are looking up, the thinner or the more narrow the shadow. So I hope you found that helpful. Go play with it. Observe the sun. Take some sort of straight object out and kind of align the sunlight with anything that you're looking at. Smaller objects will be better at first. Play with the idea, and then you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You see, everything in realistic painting always comes down to observation. When we can learn to observe what nature's doing, then we know what to do. So if you found this helpful, and if you have a question or something that you'd like for me to address, leave us a comment right down here. And while you're doing that, why not just go on over to our site at DianeMize.com and look at all those full-length videos that we have. And there's your quick tip.